There are four key things that we will be looking at. Hence, the session is divided into three segments. The first segment we will be looking at is e-learning as an add-in and not an add-on. And what we mean by that. In the second segment, we will be looking at the TPAC model. The third segment, we will look into the summer model. And lastly, we will explore these three segments with a little activity and look into a digital lesson plan template. But before we delve into the session, let me put everything into a nutshell. We will first look at the theory of the TPAC and the summer model before getting a little bit practical. We will understand how the TPAC and summer model feed into the lesson plan template. So this digital lesson plan will help us integrate technology seamlessly and effectively rather than treating it as an optional addition. So yes, what is key is any ICT integration should be guided by the learning outcomes, and we should never have it the other way around. We need to determine the learning events that would lead to the desired learning outcomes. So first, we figure out what are the learning outcomes. For example, the learning outcomes of this session is that you should understand the different pedagogical theories in terms of e-learning and know how to implement them. And once you have your e-learning outcomes, now you question which technology will get me there. And that's number 3. So now we consider how technology can help enhance a learning event. How do I take technology and change what I would have normally done and improve it through technology? The technology then don't become an add-on, but an add-in. And most importantly, ICT integration is not meant to replace, but to enhance and enable better teaching practices. So let's say I play a 30-minute video of somebody teaching. So that is replacing teaching. But now I'm giving a lesson on the solar system, and no matter how many pictures I show, draw, or I open a book, one of the best books, the learners just won't grasp how the solar system works. So I play a video, an animated video like a cartoon, and that is when we are enhancing our lessons. So firstly, our learning outcomes. Our learning outcomes is first and foremost what we are doing. Can you see the seconds? Oh, there we go.
Yes, it's just a bit slow. Don't worry, it will come.
So our learning outcomes, it is the first and foremost what we are doing, what we should concentrate on. It's in our CAPS documents, provisions for the learning outcomes. So that's where we are right now. The learning outcomes. Secondly on the list, we ask ourselves what learning events will help us to reach our learning outcomes. So I will later delve into learning events on another slide. And then thirdly, we identify the technology. Then I ask myself, what technology can I use to enhance the learning event? So it is best to follow this 3-step approach, but if you don't, let's say you find this awesome technology or e-learning tool online. Now you flip the rules. First, you identify the technology. So first I identify the technology and question how can I use this tool. You then go straight to the learning events. How can I implement this tool? Then lastly, you ask, what can I get out of it? This is when technology becomes an add-on and not an add-in. But the key thing to keep in mind is always start with a simple question. What is the learner supposed to learn? So let me get back to the term learning events. we're busy with Lottie Lot's learning events. So Lottie Lots talk about 5 different stages of learning that can take place. It's been integrated into the ICT worksheet that I'm going to share with you later on, because it helps us remember to teach on different levels and not always teach in the same way. So yeah, we do have learners that needs to learn on different levels, so we teach on different levels. But we're the same learner. Today is somebody and tomorrow is somebody else. So technology really helps us with that. So let's look at Lottie Lot's simplified session system. Acquisition is a way that a lot of us teach and has been taught in. A lot of passive learning takes place in acquisition, and I don't think acquisition is a bad way of learning, but it's also, this is the line between acquisition teaching the acquisition ways. Passive learning. So let me just click on. So discovery. Second one is discovery happen when there is an exploration involved. But discovery is not easy. If we look, if we did not do acquisition yet, it's hard to discover something if we do not have the baseline information of or knowledge of the something. And that's why I say acquisition is not a bad thing. So passive learning isn't bad. So if I explain something to somebody and they want to know more, they are going to explore. Like I'm now doing this digital lesson, and obviously because everybody's here, you want to know more about this, and that's when you're going to discover more and more of technology, and you will learn more through discovery. And the third one, dialogue. This is a valuable yet tricky to integrate into our teaching. If we don't watch the learners, we group them into groups of 2, 3, 4 more, and now they have to talk about what they're going to do, but we have to monitor. We have to be up, not just sit there and they do their thing. We have to be up and active amongst the group. Listen what they're talking about, because that talking can flip around into something else other than the task at hand. So yeah, we have to be active to watch them. So yeah, the 4 C's in the 21st century take center, namely communication and collaboration. They are extremely important. We need to communicate and collaborate. Moving forward, this becomes a very invaluable skill for learners to develop as soon as possible. Communication is taught not only through dialogue, but also discussion as well. And finally, so the practice also. Number 4, practice. Now we take the things we acquire, discover, and discuss and actually practice it. And now finally we have the creation. Creation is something that takes things we have learned and we finally create something out of that. It's like, as you can read, productivity. So, but they can also use it for research. And with creation, technology take us to different level of design we would have never been able to do, and this boosts the confidence of the child. Like not every child can draw, and I'm one of those people. I'm not good at drawing, but with technology, it boosts your confidence, and it really opens your imagination, and you can bring imagination to life, and it's a lot of things we can do. Theory reminds us of things we neglect sometimes, and the TPAC model, it can be confusing, but Miss Bailey will share the link to all the recorded videos so that you will be able to revisit this lesson to take, because this is a lot to take in, so I'm getting distracted by my cat. Like lots of theory, the TPAC is a great tool to take a spotlight and shine a light on what we are doing, and we can reflect on what we are doing and try to ask ourselves, where can I improve? The TPAC model stands for three domains that are the critical parts of integrating technology. The first one is absolutely essential. If you don't have content knowledge, it's content knowledge. If you don't have content knowledge, you can't teach. So we have to have knowledge of the content we're about to teach. And that's why that one is extremely essential. The second one is pedagogical knowledge, understanding the teaching strategies. And pedagogical knowledge refers to our teaching craft, how good we teach. And then the last one, TK, technical knowledge. When you want to use a tool like Quizlet, I think that's the Monday, the 4th of September. Craig Fortuin will be giving a session on Quizlet. So if you're interested, I think we all should go and look at what Quizlet is about, and then we can also use Quizlet. So now I found Quizlet. You need the technical knowledge to understand how to set up and share a Quizlet and how learners can access it. We need to understand what content work, which technology, with which technology, and we need to understand how technology will enhance the teaching strategies and not replace our teaching. Here you can see how pedagogical and content knowledge overlap, and the technical content and content overlap, and then the technical and pedagogical content knowledge overlap. The question some teachers might ask is, how do I incorporate technology into my classroom, but in a way that I'm still teaching effectively? The learning outcomes remain the number one priority. And if that is not the case, then things can easily get out of hand. So when I say the TPAC model, we're talking about technical, pedagogical, and content knowledge coming all together. We get teachers who are good with technology, but they cannot utilize it effectively in the classroom because they're still new at the teaching profession. Then we have teachers who are good with pedagogical knowledge, and they are superstars in teaching, and they're great at classroom management, but they do not have the technological knowledge. But just imagine if they communicate and collaborate. Like, I'll show you my technical skill and you show me the pedagogical skill. Then they can design a creative and an innovative lesson. The next theory, which is the summer theory. The summer model is a good way to think about technology integration. When we use the summer model, we talk about 4 different levels of technology integration. The first one being substitution. Technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional change. So for example, what I do, I'm teaching grade 3, and what I would do is starting to write in cursive. And where other classes are now starting, I think they're starting next term. My learners could start in term 4, term 2 already, close to the end of term 1. Why? Because I type it on my laptop, project it on the board, and at the end of the every year I just play the same, just make some changes to my work, and they can see how the letters are formed. So we start with the date, we start with handwriting, and it's easy for them. We don't even do tracing. Everybody started writing like quick and easy. So that's just a substitution. I made no difference to my lesson. To my work, my lesson. So I just projected it on the board, the writing, and it takes less time away. It's like I can now teach on the Mac while the work is projecting because I've typed it out last night or I typed it out last year, whatever I did. But it's there, and my learners, oh, I'm on the Mac version, the others are writing. Because remember, if we now use the old chalk and talk or the what is this, the whiteboard markers, you're standing with your back to the learners and it's a ball behind your back. They are doing whatever other than doing the work. So yes, that's a substitution for the whiteboard. The next one is augmentation. Technology acts as a direct substitute with a functional improvement. And I think this is where Mr. JC's um, question come in when I use a boombox or whatever in my classroom. And instead of the children listening to me, they are now listening to whatever I want them to listen, or music. Instead of me singing with my froggy voice, they're listening to somebody who can actually sing. And that is where I am enhancing my listen. And this is the augmentation and the substitution part is what we call lesson enhancement. And it's more teacher centered than learner centered. Now we're going 2 levels up, and this is what we call learner centered modification. When we go to modification, we talk about things we could not do if we were not using technology. So, let's say you have your board, your textbook, and you open it, and in textbooks there are links, and no matter how many times you tap on that link, you are never ever going to get anything out of that unless you go to your computer, you type in that long link, and then you will be able to access it. So I would say that's more of a modification when I can just tap on my link and open goes the video or whatever I've put on that link. And I think that's also augmentation as well. I would say that forms part of augmentation as well. And then lastly, we get redefinition. Through technology, redefinition through technology allows us to unlock the treasures of the human imagination. And what I do with my whiteboard is I would take, when it comes to playing games or reinforcing something like interactive things, I would use a wireless mouse, or you know what mouse, but I prefer wireless mouse so that I can move around in the classroom and now the learner come to the board, because I have 49 learners in my classroom. So they have the mouse and they will play this little mathematics game, and my whiteboard becomes interactive. But another thing I do in the redefinition part of my lesson, so what we do, we go to the old way where they have to do the creative writing in the book, and they will say what I did about my weekend. And then some of them get the opportunity who finishes first. You can now go to the laptop and use the Scratch program. And this is where we integrate coding into our lessons. And they code the story they wrote. They code. So now there's sound, these pictures, they're walking in the program. So they're bringing their writing to life. But I see it's more ambitious.
There's a lot more.
Yes.
Ambitious says that they use Google Earth, which takes you to any location, and that is awesome. And then the Andre says I think she's talking about FET again, where she's talking about electric circuits and simulations and discovering electric circuits. That's so awesome.
I made an example for this one earlier on. So we could argue, like the slide I'm using right now. So we could argue for augmentation, but it's not transforming what I am doing. But I spoke about that earlier on. This is not really transforming what I'm doing. Like this drawing in here, I don't think I'll be able to do this 3D drawing. For me, that's transforming. No, not transforming, but it's on an augmentation level for me. So the next one is digital documents. like Word docs, PDF, in that's in the place of textbook. What I love to do is I love to use the DBE books. I love to use the projector for my DBE books as a digital document. If you explain to, instead of having 2 or 3 groups on the mat, I can sit with my whole class now and do the DBE book with the whole class and then take my learners in different groups. And then we have number 3, the smart classroom technology like the e-beam or visualizer. So when I am not in the mood to teach and I play a video for learners to watch of someone teaching, and this is without a doubt substitution, and it's the worst kind of substitution, visiting the learners watching a video of somebody teaching. But if I play a video of pollution and it shows pollution and how it affects living beings, or let's talk about biology, I want to show the learners how the human body is formed. But no matter how I explain, or the pictures I show, or the slides I show, it's not going to work. So I show them how the skeleton and the framework to the functional units, the muscle, then goes to the muscle movement facilitators, to the skin, the outer protective layer. Ooh. These are things that you would never be able to do without the use of technology. So it's slowly going to the augmentation level. So when I use flip the classroom, it's not that augmentation. There we go, we're in augmentation now. So when I use flip the classroom for the learners to watch a video or anything at home, like I will give a lesson with a video, music video, where they learn some things, and then I also send it home for them to revise. But and so when I use flip the classroom model, I send the video home to the learners, or sending something they should read online before we get to the lesson. I think this is more for the intermediate and closer to the end of the year for the grade 3s, so them to read something online. This is augmentation. I'm changing things. One could even put the argument forward that this kind is getting to the modification level of things. Again, a lot of models of the summer is how you interpret it. So if it's new to you, it could be an augmentation or a substitution. I think for a lot of us, we will all say it's an augmentation. These 2 examples. Let me go to the next one. Create a web quiz, pose certain questions with guided instructions on where to find the information. So these 2 examples are here because a lot of us look at these things and we think that what we've done, that we've really changed everything by using a flipped classroom and a web quiz. But there are so many more things we can do with technology. Like I know when I used to use technology, I thought I'm doing a lot. And when I did my research and I studied further, and wow, I'm doing so little. So yes, with technology we are learning and we are learning and we are learning. We don't stop learning because it's forever changing. There's forever a new thing coming in. And eventually a lot of things are going to fall under substitution. And then we have to another way of augmentation is the formative assessment used to guide instruction. So I let my learners write a Google course, I check on how they did, and then I can actually use that to go back and change the way I teach them. can use a Kahoots where the learners enter the classroom and play Kahoots for the first 10 minutes of Kahoots. So just so that I can get a sense of their baseline, the knowledge before I start teaching. And another example that Jaco made us was the teacher. A teacher used Kahoots. So this is one of his classroom visits, and a teacher used Kahoots to determine whether or not the children know the different shapes. After playing Kahoots, the kids almost got everything right, or at least almost all of the learners got it right. And after seeing the children understood shapes, the concept of shapes, the teacher then moved to volume. And then they didn't know the codes. And on that, the teacher could see that there's a huge gap in the knowledge. Codes, I don't think we've used codes yet because of technology. But I would like to use that in my classroom one day. And in number 4, student notes are saved to cloud. Now we're moving up. Once we start getting to cloud involved, we really start preparing ourselves to move into the redefinition thing, because clouds are very important regardless of which cloud service you are using. It allows you to share, and it allows you to go beyond sharing. It allows you to collaborate. And this is where the true transformation starts happening in learning. When you are able to start collaborating and changing the learning. Are there any questions yet? This is not the only examples that I'm going to show you now of summer. So if you Google summer, you will find millions of different people saying millions of different things. So this is just to show you some idea of modification. Now, the learners create content and upload it onto a cloud-based platform where you share with your peers for peer assessment. So I write an essay or I write an answer to a question and I share it, and we actually assess it for peer assessment. Now it suddenly becomes easier. It's not just a case of we call around. So it's a learners collaborative work. And they don't just ask like, we have to now say, are you ready that day? Are you ready that date? Are you available that date? Because they're forever busy. And I just asked them to write about what they did because I did nothing. But they're forever busy and nobody's available. And this is where collaborative work come in. They can work on the document when they get time, in their own time, when they are not that busy. And then when they can get together, they can collaborate in a collaborative environment and now formally discuss what the discuss the bigger picture. There we go. They can discuss the bigger picture, the ideas they have. And then so now we're going to the learner are enabled to create their own formative assessment for their peers. Assessment as learning. And I think this is something that's as old as time, because we used to call it play school or schoolchi. The last and final one, just to leave some ideas with you. Again, there's a murky line between redefinition and modification, and you'll see now. Learning happens through content creation driven by the use of digital tools. And remember, redefinition is one of the steps or levels that are learner-centered. Now this becomes a big part. We're not just writing tests, we're actually creating things, we're making new things. And there is a big drive towards the idea of the project-based learning concepts, and technology can really enhance that. So what I did, another thing I did is I use flip grid, and my learners had to do something on pollution. Was it pollution? No, recycling.
It was on
And
recycling.
oh yes, you saw it, eh? And what they did, they became creative. This we could potentially do with the world slowly opening up towards us. So what I would do here, Skype and Google Hangout discussions. What I would do here, and we are planning. I discussed this. One of my colleagues are moving abroad. She's teaching abroad. So excited for her. Angela's at the same time. But yes, so what we're going to do when we do a culture, when our thingy, when the we have to do culture. So what we're going to do is we're going to let our learners collaborate online, and they can discuss the different cultures they have in the different countries. So that's something we are moving towards. We are connecting with our learners, can connect with other learners. So summer, let's say take an example of a geography from a geography perspective. For substitution, learners use Google Earth to locate a place instead of a printed map. For augmentation, learners make use of tools in Google Earth to measure the distance between places. And modification, okay, I'm not going to read that. So I have to find my own information. I have to embed my own information on top of Google Earth, and you can do that using different tools to do it. And then redefinition. And then we get the redefinition again. This is a content creation driven concept, and I can use ICT tools to create videos, audio, or to create guided tour of locations on Google Earth. So when I look at the substitution augmentation, it is still learner driven by the teacher, and the teacher drives the learning, and that is why we are stuck in the substitution and augmentation level. And then when we start moving to modification and redefinition, as I mentioned earlier, it is learner driven. Now the same thing can apply to many different things, and the challenge is to sit down and take a topic and ask yourself, how can I a, play substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition to the same topic? Then again, learning outcomes are key. So I have to ask myself, what kind of learning outcomes will be important here? And I think we're moving now to there we go, to our activity. So
I remember when I was teaching grade 6, I had my learners create a poetry booklet, but their poetry booklet was on Google Slides. And they had to take the poem. So I gave them a template. They're in grade 6. I gave them a template. And they were supposed to find the video. Not a video. They were supposed to do a voice recording of the poem and put it in there. They were supposed to record themselves physically reading the poem and embed that within the slide. Then they were supposed to go and find all the poetic devices and all of those things and make a table and tabulate them on one of the other slides. Then, of course, we had the typical poetry questions, and then they also had to write a reflection on each of the poems. Now, that task, I feel, was modification, substitution, augmentation, and redefinition, because they were able to do so many different things. Their parents were added to the slide so that they could see what was going on. Creating a digital portfolio, I was there, I see the blue one. So if you think about what you're doing in your classroom, how you are creating all of these learning moments for your learners, think about what is the substitution. Playing a YouTube video, that's a substitution. for you not reading the poem, or them recording a video of them doing a speech choir of the poem. That is completely different because now they're also doing collaboration and working together and deciding who does what and so on and so on. So think about little things like that while you are plotting your little post-it notes.
And the last one is for the teachers, it's for us. We reflect on our technical knowledge. And I must ask, technical knowledge, does it need improvement? Is it adequate to the task? Or what? Do I think it was very good? Because it was my first time and I felt so awesome for where they've been working out. It was very good for first time. And the learners did well. And the same questions for pedagogy, for the PK, the CK, the TC, the TP, and the PC. And so we can, and that's the end of that lesson.